Hello, my name is Harold, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm a lifelong gamer with a passion for helping others. Here at my channel, I help others learn about games I enjoy, so they can benefit from the knowledge I have when they start to play it as well. If you're returning, I'm glad you're back. Today, we'll be diving into a beginner's guide for Ashes of Creation. In this video, I'll help you with some essentials you need to know to get started. Tips on creating your first character and some important settings to change are some examples of things that I will go over, so when you jump into Ashes of Creation, you can go in confident and know how to avoid some important pitfalls along the way. But before we get into that, I want to mention a few things. Ashes of Creation is an MMO that's currently in development where players can buy into alpha access to provide feedback and be a participant in the development process. If you're passionate about MMOs like I am and you want to partake in the experience of building one alongside developers, all you have to do is follow the link in my description, set up your account, then go over to the shop and purchase alpha access. Full disclaimer, I do get credit for you setting up your account using this link, but I more do it to help Intrepid. Just like I enjoy helping you, I also enjoy helping Intrepid make this game. Alright, so the first step in the beginner's guide is going to be making your character. That's right, like most great MMOs, the first boss that you're going to have to tangle with is the character creator screen. Before you go and click that button though, make sure you have the correct server selected. And that'll be located just above those empty character slots. There will be a name. If it isn't the server that you've coordinated with your friends or guild or whoever else you're planning on playing with, just click up top, select the server you want because you cannot move those characters. Then go ahead and click on the character creation button. The first choice you'll make is selecting a race. Races are planned to impact both your base stats and provide options for augmenting how abilities you gain function. However, in this phase of development, these are not implemented yet. All you need to do is pick what fits you. The next thing you'll be asked to decide is which archetype you wish to play. You may be wondering what an archetype is. Well, in most MMOs, it's referred to as a class, a job, or a profession. In Ashes of Creation, it's called an archetype. Currently in the game, there are 7 different archetypes to choose from, which you'll see on the screen now. After deciding what archetype you'll play, the next major decision you have to make is your starting location. And to do that, you need to consider a couple of points. Where are your guildies and friends going? Intrepid wants to bring the MMO back to MMORPG with Ashes of Creation, and that means that the game is going to be heavily designed around team play. So you don't want to be too far when starting the game from your guildies and or your friends. Second, what kind of biome do you want to be playing in? Simply put, what kind of scenery do you want to look at? Because you're going to be spending a lot of time leveling, looking at that scenery, and also sifting through it to find resources to gather. Lastly, travel matters in Ashes of Creation. So distances between you and other things you may want to see in the game are going to take time. While buffs to movement speed are planned and probably going to be implemented shortly, they're still just a boost, so consider those 3 points and choose your starting location wisely. You will then enter the world. Not so fast though, we need to check on some settings, keybinds, and other things important before you start playing the game. First up, we'll take a look at keybinds. On the screen, you'll see how to access the menu and how to navigate to keybinds. The first thing we want to look at is dodge, because dodge is something that you will need to do, sometimes unexpectedly, and sometimes they make the difference between whether you live or die. So we want that bound to a key that you will readily be able to reach very easily and quickly when surprised. I like a thumb mouse button or a left control myself. Choose what works best for you. After choosing a keybind for dodge that you can easily hit while in the heat of battle, we're going to move on to another keybind. There is an action combat camera mode in Ashes of Creation, and the default keybind for that is Z. Mostly people who are melee find this mode valuable, but some don't like it at all. And the reason I bring up that keybind is not because we might want to change it, but just so you know it exists. If you see your screen change to look like what's on this video right now, you've accidentally hit the action combat mode. Just go ahead and tap that Z key again, and it should revert everything back to the way it was. The reason it can get you killed very easily is because it changes what mouse buttons do in the game so that it emulates more of a action combat feel. And this is all well and good for people who purposely do that, but when you hit that key on accident while you're playing the game another way, it can very likely get you killed. Next, we're going to review some settings for our AoE, make sure these boxes are checked so you don't accidentally heal or harm someone with your AoE abilities. I like to make sure that when I use an ability or I attack someone once, that my auto attack stays locked in. I personally recommend setting that up right from the start as well. And before you leave the Keybinds section, make sure to review all the default keybinds for things like hotbars, swapping weapons, what button you push to attack, to make sure it fits with your usual scheme for most MMOs, because once you pull a mob, it won't stop hitting you just because you're in the keybind menu. Now, while you may not want to PvP all the time, sometimes out in the world, you may have to defend yourself and you may need to flag up to do so. So we want to make sure that we know what that keybind is, and we want to make sure that it's something that we don't commonly hit. I like to do a combination of buttons. So for example, I do Control F, I don't do Shift F, which I believe was the default. I change it because I use Shift quite a bit, and I use F because it's the default interact button. So I made it Control F so I wouldn't accidentally hit it. Next, we're going to take a look at the hero sheet. When you hover over the stats on your hero sheet, it'll tell you what each stat does. That's really important to know so that when you're playing the game and you feel like you need some more survivability, need some more magic defense, or you need some more critical strike, you can hover and see what stat you should be looking for. One of the best things about Ashes of Creation is their talent tree systems and the mechanics that go along with them. Let's talk about class talent trees. For this one, each class is very different and requires a great deal of detail. So I recommend for the time being, making sure to read your tooltips regularly on your abilities. Ask in forums and other quality creator content, just make sure it's current because Ashes is in development and there are balance changes and adjustments at a pretty regular cadence. Another set of talent trees are weapon talent trees. Weapon talent trees revolve around a thing called a finisher. When you complete a full series of attacks with your weapon, you have a chance to proc what is called a finisher. A finisher either gives you a buff or confers a debuff to your target. How you choose which debuff or buff you get is based on the talent that you select in the tree. They're usually located at the center of the tree, while other things like damage boosts and chances to improve your finisher likelihood are all on the branches that come out from the center. If you want to know how many hits you have to do with your weapon, how long it takes, or the likelihood that you're going to proc a finisher, all you have to do is go to the bottom left of your screen and hover over your weapon icon, and it should bring up all of that information. One thing to note that's very important is that you have a talent tree for each weapon that you have equipped. That means your ranged and your melee weapon. So when a weapon levels up, don't forget about the other one in the talent tree. There's a drop down in the top left and you can select the other one just to make sure. Next, let's talk about some of those finisher debuffs and buffs that we want to get. Just please be aware these are going to be safe, good picks that help your team perform well. They are not necessarily going to be ones that are optimal for your specific spec. First, if you're using a magical weapon, Volatile is the debuff to get. The reason being is it enhances the amount of magic damage that an enemy receives, and it doesn't have any negative interactions with other mechanics in the game. For my physical damage dealers, I recommend Bleeds and Wounds. The reason I recommend those is because Bleeds just creates more damage, does not have a negative interaction with any other mechanics, and Wounds reduces healing that an enemy target receives. Very valuable when you're fighting anything that heals. Now, as you're playing the game, you're going to find that if you don't have a bard or a really good cleric, that you're going to be mana hungry from time to time. For that, I recommend choosing Refreshing Follow-Through. It, when you used well, can keep you going for a very long time without having to drink as often. It is a very powerful early game talent choice for your weapons. We're going to move away from combat for a second and talk about artisanship in Ashes of Creation. In Ashes of Creation, there's a 3-step process for creating most things you're going to use in the game. First, you're going to gather some raw materials, then you're going to process those raw materials into something that you can use to then craft. Each step of that process is an artisanship skill. And usually, after you gather, processing and crafting requires other skills than the ones you used before. All of the artisanship skills being interconnected is deliberate. Ashes wants to put the MMO back in MMORPGs, and that means we all have to collaborate to make things. Make sure you choose a focus for your artisanship skills. Don't try to do everything because it's designed to be a big time investment. Lastly, I want you to keep in mind the best gear in the game is going to be crafted by players. So the more you can insert yourself into that loop of gathering materials for finding them or crafting them, the better it will be for you in the long haul. Questing and Ashes of Creation is an important gameplay loop like in most other MMOs. We're going to go over a couple different types of quests that are important for you to know about to help you level. There are 2 beginning quests I want to bring to your attention. When you first spawn after you've created your character, there's a quest immediately to your left. It gives you a gateway medallion. That is a good one to pick up because it takes you through some basic introductory stuff, and it is a quest chain that awards you a decent amount of XP for doing some relatively simple and time-efficient things. The other starting quest that's really important to get is the Sweat of Your Brow quest. This one shows you the artisan gameplay loop that we talked about before, but it rewards you with a mount, which is really important to getting around the world quickly so you can get to the best spots to level fast. Another type of quests are commission board quests. There are 2 kinds based on the content you'll be doing. There's an adventuring one, and then there's an artisanship one. The adventuring one usually has kill quests and exploration. The artisan one has you gather or craft things. It's an important thing to keep in mind about these is to try to pick the quests that are the most generalized and non-specific so you can do them most anywhere. And keep in mind that these quests can be turned in from your quest journal at any time. Ashes of Creation has a few social systems that you as a new player should know about. The in-game text chat channel Looking for Group is really easy to use and is very effective at finding a group. All you have to do is type /LFG, put in your character's information, meaning level and archetype, and then describe what you're looking for. Normally, a message or a group invite will quickly follow. Guilds are another social system that you'll need to know about. They provide benefits such as a built-in roster of people that you can pull from in addition to LFG. They also provide perks in the form of guild talents that help with things like health or mana regeneration. And that'll do it for my beginner's guide to Ashes of Creation. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out. If this video sparked your interest in playing Ashes of Creation, I will have a referral link in the description of the video. And don't forget to comment, whether it's the topic for the next video or the type of gaming content you'd like to see from me next. I'd love to hear from you.